is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We are here for Monday's 8-game main slate. James, my friend, how are we doing today, man?
Doing well. Happy Monday. John, it's officially scary season here in the NBA, okay? It's time that we really focus in on what teams are doing. We've seen plenty of teams start resting guys on back-to-backs out of nowhere, good teams and bad teams, gearing up for the playoffs or gearing up to just give other
The offseason?
players, gearing up to give other players a chance. So it's really time to just hone in on who the good teams are, who the bad teams are, who's developing players, who's looking to sneak into specific playoff spots. Like, we know the 10 teams out west for the playoffs this year, right? There's no 11th or 12th team that could sneak in, but it's about seeding. So what is 11 through 15? What are they going to do? In the Eastern Conference, there's about 12 teams that could potentially get a playoff spot. What is the Pistons and the Hornets of the world going to do every night? So
Right.
it's getting to the point where, and we've seen it basically time in, time out with Memphis. They've been doing it for a month before everyone else, but it should be a fun slate. Just something I wanted to just bring up that we got to start monitoring.
We've talked about this almost since opening night, that end of season NBA is
so different
absolutely
than
wild,
else.
right? And you look at the Sunday slate and what happened. Sam Hauser hit 10 threes, right? Justin Champagne is starting and breaking slates, at near min prices, right? You're going to start seeing, the Delano Bantons of the world with 50 fantasy point games, right? It is coming. You're going to start seeing it. You're going to see G League guys get called up and you're like, who is this player? And now they're starting. And not only are they starting, but they're making buckets. This is where we learned of Jaden Hardy a few years ago, right? Kenneth Lofton last year had a 70 fantasy point game with a 30-20 double-double, right? This happens when we get to the final weeks of the NBA season. Because you're right. It doesn't just mean the good teams. Today, the Washington Wizards on the second leg of a back-to-back sat almost everybody but Jordan Poole. Right?
Yep.
They let Jordan Poole play, but they sat Kuzma, they sat Tyus Jones, Koulibaly, and Denny. All were out. Bagley's still hurt, obviously. The Celtics, no Porzingis, no Derek White, no Jaylen Brown. You're going to start seeing these teams. Donovan Mitchell already ruled out, obviously, for this slate. Obviously, we'll get into some of the injuries and player statuses. Lainey's back there just having herself.
She's snoring. Can you
having
hear
herself a dream? Probably dreaming of maybe she doing the 50-point game.
You having a 50-point game, Lane?
I can't hear her snoring, but I believe you that it's happening. So
I can hear it through my headphones, so I was unsure. And I don't want to call her out because it's disrespectful to Lainey, but if I was just making sure that you could not hear it, because that would be a terrible audio.
No, it's not coming through. Just like sometimes my cat, I feel like she purrs so loud that you can hear her through, because you can hear her sometimes.
I can see it. I can see when your cat is going at you, because you're there's sudden leg movements.
She starts clawing at me. She's a nightmare. Yeah. Anyways, animal pets aside, random players aside, let's get into the slate. It's 8 games. We'll start off again. We have a full slate, 7 p.m. all the way to 10:30. So they did not short us here. And we have late swap, which is great to know. Cleveland, Indiana giving 7.5, 224.5 game total in that one. Detroit, Boston giving 15.5, a 224 total there. Miami, Philadelphia giving 3.5, 212.5 total. Portland, Chicago giving 7, 213.5. Minnesota, Utah getting 7.5, 222.5 there. Knicks, Warriors giving 4, 212.5 total. Memphis, Sacramento giving 10, 223.5 total there in Atlanta. LA, Lakers giving 8.5, a 227.5 total there. For back-to-backs, we have Atlanta We have Miami, we have Boston, we have Detroit. Is that it? Anybody else played today?
You said Miami. You said
I
Miami,
did.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's it for this one there. So again, we'll go over the injuries as we go over each position. Top price player on the slate is going to be Domantas Sabonis here. We have the Lakers obviously in the late game, and Anthony Edwards up over 10K. So jumping into it at the point guard position, DeJounte Murray on the second leg of a back-to-back here, up to $9,800. I think he was like 95 on the Sunday slate. Obviously well deserving of the price bump here. 64, 44, 56, and 57 through the last 4 games here. I think he's off to a little bit of a slow start against the Clippers. They're up 17 in that game. He's at 7-2, 7-2. So, fantasy point wise, he probably ends up getting there, but not blowing doors off by any stretch of the imagination. But he is $9,800. Then you have Halliburton at 92, Brunson at 9K, Fox 89, Curry returning at 88. Maxey at 86. That's your 8K and above tier. Jalen Brunson you have as the cover of the 5 p.m. live stream that we'll do a little on later. So where are you going when it comes to spending up, and what is it about Brunson specifically that you're a fan of here in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing it like how slow the Knicks play, it doesn't matter. Jalen Brunson the last 2 games, Sean, and we kind of talked about the minutes, how he just hadn't been needed and to be extended, and why not like rest your star that's coming off an injury when you can. Well, that's gone. 38 and 36 minutes in back-to-back games, 30 and 28 shots in back-to-back games. Had a 17 free throw game mixed in there. Has taken 10 threes in back-to-back games. And oh, by the way, 42 and 45 actual in those games. It's just like Jalen Brunson at this version was 10K, right? And now we're getting, like every game, the Knicks play a pace up spot against the defense. Again, the Warriors were good, and then they weren't, and then they were, and then they weren't, and we just can't figure out who they are. But I'm willing to take that risk when Jalen Brunson, who is a 10K player with an injured Julius Randle, is still priced at 9K. Like
30 shots a game is insane,
dude. And it's not, but it's not gonna like that's not gonna stop because like OG coming back isn't gonna threat, and now he's OG's questionable.
right?
That's not a threat to Brunson's shot attempts. Josh Hart, as great as he's been, he's not a threat to like. There's no threats that Jalen Brunson has as long as Julius Randle's not there. Like it's a well-constructed team. Brunson is just here, and everyone else is here when it comes to like offense and volume, and like everything just runs through Brunson. And if you're going to, I don't care if he goes 1 for 28. If he takes 28 shots at 9K, I'm going to play him 10 times out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. Because James Grande said
I was going to say you're one day off of 316 day, which was obviously Austin 316 catchphrase you just did there. So we're one day off, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm with you there. 9K, lock him in. It's no disrespect to the other guards in this range. Certainly can get to them if you want to, but why are you going to spend an extra $200 other than just to be different in tournaments, or $100 less other than just to be different in tournaments when Brunson's running the way he's going? When we break down into the 7K tier, you have Cade against Boston. Kobe White's questionable here. Anthony Simons at 77. Garland against Pacers without Donovan Mitchell, $7,600 there. D'Angelo Russell, 75 in this range here. Rozier rounding out the 7K tier. I guess Derek White probably back here. He is 71 as well.
Hey, Cade, 32 minutes, because that's just seemingly what we're going to get, right? That's just, he's capped.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're seeing. That's just where this is like the start of the minute.
Yep. They don't need to push him. The season's over. Get him healthy for next year and move forward.
Yeah, and he's been oft injured throughout the first few years of his career. So no thanks against Boston.
Get him on a Tom Thibodeau team though, or Nick Nurse team.
No. Not wait. Get him a couple of years of like 75 games played first. Sean.
Okay.
Jesus. Break the injury spell and then send him to the big dogs. I mean, Garland is going to be super popular.
Yeah.
No Mitchell, no Mobley. It's just what it is. No Strus. this is the same team that we saw for
a month.
yeah, and so 7,600 is too cheap. It's a pace up spot, obviously. So that's your play in the mid tier. Now, like to be honest, when Anthony Simons has played lately, he's been super good. Him and DeAndre Ayton have been amazing. I mean, DeAndre, dude, I cannot say enough good things about Ayton. We'll obviously get there in a little bit, but
Jeremy Grant doubtful again for this
yeah,
game.
Jeremy. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's Simons, it's Ayton, and Simons was rested on, I believe, the second leg of a back to back due to a knee injury or of some sort. But like, if that's not gonna hinder him, he's playing. I mean, 34 minutes and a 20-point loss against Boston, but
Yeah.
43, 42, 36, and basically competitive games surrounding that. So, it's hard not to like Simons.
I agree. Again, the Boston versus Detroit is a 15.5-point spread. Derek White sat the front leg.
Yeah.
Again, we're expecting him to possibly play this one. He sat out due to a left hand sprain, but Boston has to list injuries for these guys to sit out, and they're not always. There's been a running joke for what Al Horford will be listed as for out. It's an ever changing injury for him when he sits out the second leg.
Missoula's such a troll.
Yeah, Missoula's a big troll for that. So the other day, last time it was like a sore left big toe or something like that. He like listed on the injury report. So I imagine Derek White plays here. We'll see.
Drew elbow.
Yeah, Drew gets the elbow or the shoulder or something like that.
Yep.
We'll see if Jaylen Brown plays or not. He is apparently dealing with like a legitimate something or other with his knee or hip or whatever.
Ankle.
Yes, he's got something. He apparently is actually dealing with something that's actually bothering him. He's just been playing through it, so they give him some rest time. But do they need to stretch him out versus Detroit? Probably not. So
Right.
Porzingis probably won't play, even if Horford sits. We've seen that now recently. Like they're not forced at him on the floor.
No.
So there's a really good chance, I think, for Derek White, because as you've pointed out, when those guys sit, Derek White gets the highest usage rate bump on the team. So $7,100 Derek White, if those guys are out again against Detroit, feels like a pretty smash spot. If I had to pick a spot for him, for sure. Under 7K, what are your thoughts on the guards down here? If Kobe White's out again, do you go IO at 65? Steph Curry's back. Chris Paul takes a hit. I mean, like, what's your thoughts in the 6K and below tier?
Dude, I know it was Washington, but Ayo Dosunmu had himself a freaking day.
Yep.
And Kobe White is doubtful.
Yep.
And it's just they're gonna play him monster minutes. Dude, Billy Donovan is low key one of those coaches that just play and they're really hurt, so I understand it. But he plays his starters a lot of minutes, so I would expect Ayo to once again play 40 minutes here and take a boatload of shots. Is he going to go 14 of 22 again? That's not likely, but he's good peripherally too. So I think Dosunmu is highly intriguing. I'm a little intrigued by Mike Conley if guys sit out again for Minnesota rather. He's been super good in back-to-back games, scoring the basketball. And when you think about if there's even with Gobert, but like their starting lineup is Conley, Edwards the last few nights, and not like after Edwards and Naz Reid, it's Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah,
it's Kyle Anderson, Conley, like NAWs,
low
their six man.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just like we know Conley can score. He just doesn't need to when it's Towns and.
Yep. And they're running it back in the same matchup, right?
Same matchup.
Played Utah. In Utah, they didn't move anywhere. They just stayed in Utah for a day, and now they're running it right back with them. So, yeah, I can see that. Obviously, you're getting ceiling scoring, right? 5 of 8 from 3 in both of those games here, but Utah lends to those type of games for guards, right? They're just not a great defensive team. So, I could get there. How are you feeling with Scoot and Banton down here? Obviously, you mentioned Anthony Simons. Well, you got 42 minutes in back-to-back games here out of Delano Banton. One of those games went for 46 fantasy points. He is $5,600. Scoot's been coming off the bench. I mean, he's been okay, right? 26, 24 minutes, over 20 fantasy points in both games, but
he's limited. So I probably can't get to Scoot unless they let us know that there's no limit, because Chauncey's been coming out and saying like, hey, this dude's limited. So
sure.
if we know that he's not, then I would be interested. if he's going to continue to be limited and no Jeremy Grant, then Banton's going to play 40 minutes again. That's just like so.
What a wild dude.
Yeah,
What a wild
it's a. I mean, this is
He's
only the
shooting
beginning.
45% from 3 over the last.
Yeah. I mean, it's He's wearing his Celtics jersey.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Goodwin was in the G League the other day, I think, is what I read.
Yeah,
right?
it's the two-way thing where
And
he
Pippen
only
is
had
out already for this game.
he only had a specific amount of days
Right.
left on his ability to be called up. So we'll see. And
Pippen's already out. So
and no Kennard. Kennard is also out for personal reasons. Now Bane came back and played 30 minutes right away. They were just like, all right, dude, welcome.
Wait, who did?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Maybe it'll wake my dog up and I will not have to hear snoring this whole time. I mean, yeah, if good. I feel like we've said it this whole time. If Goodwin is starting, he's playing big minutes. Yep. And if he's not, he is a very big risk. Period.
I said you can't play him, right? Like,
dude, we had the stream Friday. Pippen ended up starting that game against Charlotte, and he played 28 minutes. Yeah. I remember, I think your exact quote was like, what, is Pippen going to come back and play 28 minutes? And he played literally 28 minutes.
Did.
So, like, it's just, if Goodwin's starting, then I would definitely have interest. But if not, then no thanks.
Agreed. Let's see. Sasser's still around 18, 19 minutes. It could be a Sasser game just from a blowout perspective here.
You're just, are you seriously just going to zoom past the opportunity to talk about Peyton Pritchard potentially getting all this run again if somebody's out?
I guess it's true.
Dude, he went ham. Yeah. And Sam Hauser hurt his ankle, right?
He did hurt his ankle today. That is true.
Maybe there's
on his way to breaking Klay Thompson's 3-point record.
100% going to break it. I mean,
10 of 13 from 3 and basically 2 quarters. He got hurt early in the third. So,
dude, he was walking the threes down. Like, I was like, oh my God, it was insane. But like, maybe that was a precautionary thing, right? We don't know. Maybe it was like hurt, like definitely rolls it. But what's the point of putting you back in unless you wanted to like break the record? But like,
we got the 3-guard lineup the other day.
We got the 3-guard lineup. So I mean, if there's guys out, like again, Drew has missed a lot of time with the elbow, or at least he's been on the injury report a lot. Like if Drew, Hauser are out and like Jalen, I mean Pritchard's playing 30. Pritchard like might play 30 minutes, might get somewhere close to 30 if all three, like perfect storm, all three of those guys are out.
Perfect end of season NBA DFS player.
Oh, dude, he's gonna be a 9K player in like if Boston has the 1 seed wrapped up, this is what we're gonna continue to see. Like,
we're gonna get summer league Peyton Pritchard, right? Like,
yes,
knocking down 30 points a game.
Yeah, so like, if there's guys out, like I'm highly interested in Peyton Pritchard.
You know what my favorite part of this season is going to be?
What?
When we get the roster Isaiah Thomas.
True. Dude, all we've heard is Phoenix needs a point guard. You know, that's all we've heard. They went out and got IT. Did you see? I think it was the Shams tweet. Yeah, he's 30 in 4 straight games. Like, that's who we have available. Like, just like, I know, like, obviously the G League is not the NBA, but how many players in the Dude, Gabe Vincent just got a $50 million deal from the Lakers this offseason. You know where Gabe Vincent like got his fame? The G League. Like, so
Isaiah Thomas went out there at like 40 years old and was cooking them. I don't even actually know how old IT2 is, but you know, he's not young.
He is. That's the wrong. He's not 62. That's the wrong.
No, he might be.
That is the wrong Isaiah Thomas. This one is 35.
35.
They have him listed at 5'9". I'm taller than Isaiah Thomas.
But he was cooking in the G League. So that's all I'm saying. So we're gonna get a spot one of these days where like the Suns rule everybody out and Isaiah Thomas is starting a point guard and we're gonna play. All right, shooting guard here. Anthony Edwards at 10K finally.
Yep. Should be. I mean,
dude, for a month he was in like the 8K range. Deserves to be 10K. I'd play him.
Yeah, same. If especially if if their lineup doesn't change, we already know Towns out. Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert on the injury report again, like we know what Edwards can be like everywhere when all these people are out.
Future league MVP, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I think that's like I feel like if you were to ask like poll NBA players, that would be
right
a common answer.
Right. This is the ascension year for him, right?
Yeah, this has been the ascent. I think it started with Team USA.
Yeah,
because he was like the best player, like clearly on that Team USA team, and then it just like has gotten only better. Dude, 27, 5, 5, and almost 1.5 steals on 46, 37, 84. Like that's
it's the 3-point shooting for me. The fact that he's improved his 3-point shooting has been huge.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
All right, let's just get to it. He played 32 minutes in his return. He took 17 shots. He had 22. Guy missed 2 months. He's $8,200. He's got Sacramento here.
Welcome back to the Bane Show. All those looking to roster me, you can only do it at shooting guard. You used to be able to do it at small forward. But, John, my friend, my pal, it's a pretty good spot. It's a pretty good spot for Desmond Bane.
Say the day of reckoning is upon us here.
Ooh, nice. That was a good one. I mean, it is legitimately, if he's going to play
hey, dude, out of the gate, dude, missed 2 months.
32 minutes off an ankle injury. I mean,
now he gets Sacramento.
Dude, he's playing. I mean, he's playing. Thank you.
Lainey did in fact wake up.
Dude, look at that. She was like, "Dad, did you just become famous villain in Batman Bane?" Or thank you for making all the noise. This has been a great show. I would play him. Like if he played 32 minutes his return, he's playing 36 in this game.
Yeah. And Sacramento doesn't hold leads, so
no, they don't. I mean, they're not a good.
As much as we like Garland, I mean, Karis LeVert's right here. I mean,
yeah.
6,800. Great spot. Great price.
43 fantasy points with Donnie.
Yeah.
No
Strus, no Mitchell, no Mobley. Going to be a core play for the lineups here.
John, I got to ask. We just kind of went past them a little bit. Did you see the Utah starting lineup the other day? So they did not start Colin Sexton on the second leg of back-to-back.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a Jordan Clarkson thing. Like they want the scoring that Clarkson provided. Does that Markkanen's listed questionable? So I think we'd probably need Markkanen out to begin with.
Yeah.
To get to him, but if Markkanen's out and Sexton's not starting, would you play him?
I mean,
Minnesota.
The minutes are still good.
Minutes are still good.
And he's still, I mean,
he's very good.
You can't argue the numbers, but
he's
sure. I definitely, I'd rather play LeVert.
Agreed.
At $6,800 than Colin Sexton.
Agreed.
Kind of where I'm at with it. Mid-tier guys, Bogdan on the back-to-back. Monk is 64. I don't really want much of Philly.
Philly would be interesting if Tobias is out again.
Sure.
So we saw Oubre start the other day. He took 16 shots. He just didn't do anything else. 8 for 16, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He did nothing. But 34 minutes starting role. I'd be okay getting to Oubre.
I think it's more so the matchup against Miami.
It's not a great matchup.
They are home favorites. Does that surprise you at all here?
I think Jimmy's on the injury report here. He missed Sunday's game.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't play Monday, maybe they're thinking Jimmy doesn't play. But also Miami's been pretty. They
haven't been great.
They have not been very good lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're
the time they need them to be good, obviously.
They're in the plan. I mean, they're in the plan again right now.
Yeah. Not getting Hero for another 2 weeks is not helping them out.
Yeah, that's not going to help. That's not going to help regular season heat. I don't think it matters in postseason heat.
Sure. They got to go. They got to get there.
They got to get there. It's true.
Got to get there. Neesmith 53. Any interest there?
He's fine. I mean, he's gonna start. He's gonna play 30 minutes.
A lot easier matchup for him, given who's on the floor for Cleveland in this game.
Levert / Garland, probably.
Yeah. Not
I mean,
dealing with Donovan Mitchell or Evan Mobley.
yeah. I mean, that's he would be guarding Donnie. It's just he's not,
Yeah.
you know.
You mentioned Kennard being out. Kennard's not listed. I guess he was just
he's out. I saw it earlier. He's out for
I need
personal.
to refresh my screen. Apparently.
He's out for personal.
That's the deal. All right. Anybody else?
Let's see. Contra's minutes kind of sucked, but I guess you could see like extra Contra minutes.
Merrill.
Yeah. He had not been shooting well. What is the price? 42?
33 and 27 fantasy points last year.
Yeah, the shot.
Random 9 assists, random 8 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean it seems unlikely. He did have 5 assists in the Phoenix game. I mean, if that's going to be the minutes, right now,
no
14
Deuce, no Mitchell, so like.
Yeah, it seems likely that he'll play.
No Dean Wade again.
A good amount. Is Dean Wade officially out? He's doubtful. He's doubtful. So you're right. Yeah, I don't hate getting to 4,200 Merrill.
Okay. Small forward here. Again, dual positional eligibility for a lot of these players. DeRozan 83. Gets Portland here. Siakam at 77. Josh Hart, your guy there at 72 in the mid tier. What are some of your favorites? Yeah, I'm just going to talk about LeBron and Tatum at power forward. They're power forward. So,
if you had DeMar DeRozan taking 7 shots against Washington, in a spot without Kobe White, you're lying.
Yeah.
I played him.
He's mostly let us down in 3 of the last 4, and the Pacers game was. Pacers
game. Been frustrating because like Vooch obviously had the wet nuke, Dosunmu wet nuke. Caruso's been super consistent, but like, dude, DeRozan plays 40 minutes and like every night is good peripherally, and then you're like, oh well, he didn't do anything against. It's just we're gonna not play him. He's gonna go crazy. That's all I know. Jimmy, at 8K hasn't been great. Siakam's been really good, John, for the last few games. 54, 39, 45 fantasy points. As we kind of expected, the price was a little too cheap when it got to low 7s, and now on its way back. So Siakam's good. I mean, dude,
the rebounds are still crazy good for Josh Hart.
It just is what it is. Like, he's gonna play 40 minutes. The problem, I would say, last 2 games, OG's been back. Maybe OG's been directly correlating. Also, it's just hard for him to get as many shots when Jalen Brunson's taking 20.
I think that's really what it is. The guy's taking 30 shots a night.
What can he do?
What are you going to do? Right. The rebounding is interesting to me because Hartenstein actually played more minutes in the last game. He had double-digit rebounds as well in that game. Didn't matter. Josh Hart's just out there boarding. So,
dude, I mean, because Hart's doing it on like the offensive glass too. Like, I feel like I watch Josh Hart get like offensive putback like nightly, or like just offensive rebound kick out Brunson 3 or something. So yeah, if you land on Josh Hart, it'll be low owned.
Agreed. And a lot of these guys, again, we've talked about dual positional eligibility. DeAndre Hunter's down here at 6K. If there's no Jimmy Butler, obviously you can look at Duncan Robinson, Fontecchio 57. What are your thoughts on some value small forwards? Hauser, if he's good to go, and people are out again, right?
Yeah, mostly everybody you just said. I would say Fontecchio for me still kind of relies on Asor Thompson, who didn't play again on Sunday. So this illness apparently is really hurting him. OG's questionable. That's obviously interesting because what does that do for the Knicks rotation? An already short rotation. Hart now plays 48 minutes instead of 39. Jaquez started for Jimmy Butler. I would have to assume if Butler doesn't play Monday, he would also start again. 35 minutes, 14 shots, 28 fantasy points. That's a good production at 5K.
Okoro would obviously be a thing for us here.
Yeah, and look at that. I mean, 18, 16 fantasy points with Donnie back, right? And then Mitchell gets hurt, and he suddenly struggles.
Yep.
NEW would be interesting. I think he would probably start if Kyle Anderson were to sit. would be my assumption. They could just move Jaden McDaniels to the 4, and then you
Sure.
see NEW start. He's been pretty good. He's been in the rotation pretty consistently anyway. Georges probably starts. Continues to play 28 minutes a night. Is that it? Probably.
Probably.
They started Highsmith. He did nothing.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we at with this game?
It is a rout.
Yeah, it is. It is not very good. I was gonna say Wes Matthews is actually making buckets, but he only played 8 minutes. Hit 2 threes.
Yeah, he started. He started the other day.
The other night. Yeah, it threw me off. All right, power forward has LeBron and Tatum here. 10-3 and $9,900. If everybody's gonna be out for Boston again, obviously Jason Tatum's gonna go out there and do his thing. Had 56 fantasy points in 27 minutes. Very likely track for that same type of number production against Detroit here. Nothing against LeBron. I would imagine that he would play, 67 fantasy points, 48 and 9 in a game that took an hour to finish the final 2 minutes of that game. If you followed along with the clock issues that they were having in LA for that one, but obviously can pay it. Triple J, even with Bane back. I'm perfectly fine going there. I know this isn't like an easy matchup for him, for sure, having to go up against Sabonis, but the shot volume certainly could be there. Jalen Johnson, obviously 75, great. You've talked up Naz Reid a ton, 56 fantasy points the other night, would be in a great spot, be willing to pay it if he's starting again. What about for you when it comes to this, power forward position?
I think LeBron might rank first overall if AD doesn't play.
Yep.
Because AD's dealing with the eye thing, and we saw what that meant for LeBron. He's like, yeah, I might be in year 21, and I might be close. I might be the oldest player in the league, but I can still drop 40 when you need me. Like, in a loss, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, like, if there's no AD, LeBron's, I think, top dog for me getting Atlanta second leg. Love Tatum, obviously, if people are out again. I expect Boston to rest people. Like, they just have such a comfortable, commanding lead in the East. Like,
dude, you talked about it, right? They've subbed people back into games where they were up big. Like, Missoula doesn't care, and
he doesn't care.
And I think, like you said, we talked about it, like Tatum wants to play.
I think he's gonna play,
but
I think he plays. I think it would have been different if that Washington game was close, but he didn't have to play the fourth quarter. Right. He didn't have to play the fourth quarter.
The Celtics have almost a 10-game lead now in the East.
You are not going to see Kristaps Porzingis play a lot of regular season.
And if you do, I bet he starts playing 24 minutes. Right?
Yeah. It's. I would say that you probably see it more like in ramp up situation, like near the end of the year, where you're trying to get him back to but especially if there's an actual hamstring, like he's missed 5 straight games, right, with a hamstring. So there's obviously a real worry. But if it's like better and he can play, it's like, well, we're up 10 in the East and we want you to be fully healthy by the time, because you're the X factor that we haven't had in years past. So if Tatum plays and Zinger's out and we already know Horford's out, we assume Brown's dealing with the ankle, and
we think Drew Holiday will sit.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot to like about Tatum against Detroit, because you said it, he had 56 fantasy points. Probably is going to be the highest score on the slate if he's in the fourth quarter. Him or Wemby, obviously. They
started O'Shea Brissett in this game today as well.
Yeah, he stunk.
He only played but he did play 29 minutes.
He did. He closed. So only reason I know this is because I played O'Shea Brissett today, and I'm not happy about it. He played the final 5 minutes of the game, so was not terrible. 24 minutes regardless. If all those injuries and Horford now pile on the Horford news too. There's obvious.
I mean, Cornette and Tillman will be your center group tomorrow.
Yeah, Cornette and I mean Tillman. They might have to use maybe Tillman at the 4 too, which you've pointed out, and use Queta possibly as well.
Possibly as the backup. If Hauser's out and all those guys are out too, Svi is gonna play. Played 23 minutes.
Yeah, he played again. Yeah.
But we'll talk about that if we have to get.
And just to add to Dude, Jalen Johnson, Naz Reid. Jalen Johnson just as live just got another steal and an assist to his ledger. Right now, Jalen Johnson in 29 minutes, 13 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block. That's
there's a reason why they're up 87-62 right now. So
yeah. So Jalen Johnson, 7,500. Lakers. I was just looking this up. Since the All-Star break, they're 28th in defense. So they have gone south. And if there's no Anthony Davis, things are not going to get easier for them at the rim. And then Naz Reid, if there's no Gobert, dude, it's the same thing with Towns, but he's $1,000 cheaper than Towns, right? It's like Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid. That's your like food chain in terms of shots. Like all the shots are funneling to both those guys. So, and he's been starting it. So yeah,
he's a monster. DeAndre Hunter's having himself an okay night. Again, we talked about that. He's the beneficiary of the Jalen Johnson assist there. Kaminga, Draymond, any interest in those guys? Santi Aldama, GG, any interest in the Memphis plays here?
I think Kaminga's a little too expensive. I feel like I've been saying that for a couple slates. Like he continues to score. It's just he's not doing anything else. Like he's playing 30 minutes. He's scoring really well. The peripheral stats just haven't been there. And when Draymond Green has 2 games in his last 4 where he has double doubles in terms of just rebounds and assists, like what are you supposed to
triple double against
triple? Right. I'm just saying like just the peripheral stat version. Like what are you supposed to do when you're also playing with Steph? You're also playing
right.
So probably out on Kaminga. I'm okay with Draymond and tournaments because we know what that can be. Santi had a really good game against OKC. He's a good basketball player, but 6,200 with Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson playing like 35 minutes is hard to get to.
Sure.
It's interesting to see Gigi Jackson play 35 minutes in that game with Bane and with Jaren. Like,
and now you're saying no Kennard, like the minutes are down for Contra. Like he could just play Bane at the point guard, right? Like, and
he could just play Bane
out there. So.
Yeah, that's a good point because like Vince Williams also listed doubtful. No Kennard, no Zaire Williams.
Right.
Laravia just settling into like 24 minutes when people are healthy. So no Lamar Stevens, no Watanabe. I think Jemison straight DMP'd with Triple J back. So they went like with a big smaller lineup going Aldama and Gigi in their front court when Jaren Jackson wasn't on the floor. So yeah, I mean Gigi Jackson's at least a little bit interesting, right? Where like if he gets 30 plus minutes, we know he's going to take a lot of shots when he's out there.
Agreed. We've already talked, obviously, Fontecchio, Caleb Martin played over 30 minutes. He could be interesting there. Isaiah Stewart, $5,500, keeps playing a whole bunch of minutes. We could have a pretty nice matchup against Boston here. Hendricks, 33 minutes in the return, 35 for him, double in that game. So some good value down here at power forward.
Yeah, man. I think Hendricks is finally got the doubles.
We're talking about it, right?
and I missed it. Because that was he plays the Atlanta game. That was the late swap night, and then Saturday night, he was limited on the front end. Definitely not limited on the back end where he plays 33 minutes. The foul trouble is really the only thing that I think we have to worry about with Taylor Hendricks. Maybe
it's possible the foul trouble limited him in the front end too. There.
Well, they had said he was only going to play 24 minutes. They capped him, and then second leg they were just like, all right, screw it. He looks good, and they didn't. So, yeah, I mean, if there's no Markkanen, all systems go for Hendricks. I don't think there's much else down here. Bulls started Torrey Craig. He was a 0 the other day. TJ Warren signed another 10-day. He played 16 minutes. You mentioned Brissett, 34. Like Brissett would probably be back in play. I mean, he basically got there.
Yeah, he got 29 minutes and he was free. So
yeah, he's a little more expensive than free. But again, if Boston's just shorthanded, forced to play him, then yeah, I would be.
Yep. And of course, we talked like Niang and all these guys are over here already. So center spot then, Sabonis is 10-5 and Anthony Davis is 10-2. We don't know the status of Anthony Davis for this game. This would be just a feast game for Sabonis. There's a reason he's averaging 61 fantasy points in 2 games against them this year. 23.5 rebounds per game he's averaging against them as well.
We talked about this. I remember this game, and we were like, Triple J cannot guard centers.
Cannot.
He had 26 rebounds in the last game on January 29th.
Yep. 20 points, 26 rebounds.
10 for 11 from the floor.
Yep.
I mean, dude,
he had 21 rebounds. He had a triple-double, 13, 21, and 12 in the first game. So,
what are they going to do? And like, what do they do?
They can't stop him. So, yeah, obviously very clear the number one guy there.
Yep.
You mentioned Ayton, though. I mean, obviously last game out against Pelicans, not his best effort, but he's been really good pretty much outside of that game.
Great, even. I would say great. I would use the word great.
I mean, the Atlanta game here, 33 and 19 is wild.
DeAndre Grayton, some would say.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, dude, like
he was the number one overall pick.
He's a very polished scorer, like right out of college. It's just like, obviously the Suns were really good, and then he comes here dominating all that BS, and he's on one of the worst teams in the NBA. Well, you know what? I think we've figured it out. I think you figured out that he's going to be just fine in Portland.
Yeah, just feed him the basketball. Well, let him score. Do not expect him to play defense. Just let him score.
Dude, he has 30 actual in 3 of his last 5 games.
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant is not going to play. This is going to be the Simons Ayton show. And Simon's good passer. Dude, Scoot Henderson, really good passer. Both those guys are going to feed this guy. If this is how we're going to score the basketball, where he's taking 20 shots a night, essentially. And New Orleans, I mean, other than Delano Banton, and they're a very good defensive team.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So
Ayton's averaging 27 and 15 over the last 5. So
yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard not to like him. And on the flip side, Vooch is coming off again a nuke. He went for 50, and we never ever get Vooch right, but
sure don't.
It's a good spot for him. Bam, if there's no Jimmy, great spot for him.
Yeah.
He went for 48.
Jared Allen here, no Mobley, no Mitchell. I mean, this is a spot. I feel like we had this matchup for him recently too. Did not do well. When was that Pacers game? He only played 21 minutes in that game. Was it early season?
Yeah, it was not any time recent.
Yeah, first game of the year. First game of the year, he played 21 minutes. Okay, so I mean, we know what he's looked like this year without Mitchell and Evan Mobley. So
he's been amazing, dude. The offense, they use him as the hub, that high. He catches. He's in every pick. He's so active when he is without Donovan Mitchell.
Yep. So big fan, obviously, of Jared Allen here. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the 7K range? You're talking Nas already, but Collins, Duran, Miles Turner's here. Clint Capella's having a pretty good game. We know what the value is going to end up looking like, but any more to the mid-tier place?
Dude, Capella's been great. He's going to have another almost 40 fantasy point game. Is he going to play a back-to-back? I assume so. He's at 20 minutes through 3 quarters. They're up.
He might not
30.
Get back into this game.
Yeah, honestly. They're up almost 30, so I don't know if we have to even worry about him playing another minute, but 13, 10, 3 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks for Capella. Dude, the minutes have been pretty steadily rising for him. So yeah, I mean, Capella's very interesting against Lakers, especially if there's no Anthony Davis.
Right, because they started Jackson Hayes the other day, right? So good spot.
Kessler started, but Collins is back. He might even still start, but it doesn't really matter all that much.
The Hartenstein minutes were interesting because he got up to 28 here.
Yeah, and he's good. Anytime he's extended, he's good.
Yeah, so I mean, we saw obviously earlier this year that he was playing big minutes and he was giving us some big time production there. So 5,200 is pretty good for him. But I mean, if no Porzingis and no Al Horford, we're gonna get Luke Cornett out here for 30 minutes. So
I respect the price increase, by the way.
If he's 5K, if no Porzingis and no Al Horford, how much Jalen Duran do you play? Because
Cornett and 6'5" Xavier Tillman.
I mean, he should dominate that matchup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, no, for sure. I mean, it would be a very.
You saw what he did to Kelly Olynyk, 24 and 23.
Yes. It would be a very intriguing play. Because even in a tough spot against Bam, he didn't have like a great game on Sunday. But he doubled.
Yeah.
And I would say the only thing again, and I think this is probably a Pistons thing, is that he's like capped for whatever reason. Like the minutes are just not like he played 34, and I'm happy he played 34, but all these other games he's playing 28 to 30, and is it like you are just simply wanting to get James Wiseman like more time? Is that the reason? Like James Wiseman played 16 minutes on it's just it's kind of it's kind of frustrating.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean Duran would take their lunch. Now Cornette's been really good defensively, but I don't think that would matter. Duran's just too good on like the glass for
Yeah,
I think anything.
I think it's too physical for Cornette here, but I would definitely play Cornette at 5K. Yes, they were smart with the price bump, but still has had no problem paying that off. Jackson Hayes played 28 minutes. Do you give him the look here at 46?
I was going to ask you the question: if everyone's out for Boston and 80's out, would you play Hayes, or would you prioritize Hayes, or would you prioritize? Because the problem is you're not going to know.
Right.
Boston's at 7:30. You're not going to know if 80 is going to play until 10:30, right?
I think that specific reasoning is why I'd play Cornette. And I have we have a pretty good track record of Cornette being a productive player when put in this position.
Very, very productive. Very productive. He's been very productive.
Mm-hmm. So I think Cornette's where I would go because it's not like a huge cost difference. It's $400.
Right. I'm just. It was more so like Hayes is like the if you're trying to like swim with sharks, right?
Yeah.
Like where you're just like, I'm gonna take a shot on it's like the no late swap it didn't work out and we found out early, but you were talking about the Bones Highland thing on Friday. Like if you played Bones and Harden was ruled out after lock, and Bones sucked, but I'm just saying like he was not good from a fantasy perspective, but if it would have been a sharp play if you played Bones and Harden was
he had the good game.
And he had the good game, right? And he had the good game.
Last time Horford and Porzingis were both out, it was Utah, and Tillman played 27 minutes.
That would be that would be a very interesting pivot. What is I think we need to popcorn machine it though, because like obviously that was a blowout, right?
Yeah.
What was the day on that?
It was the 12th.
March 12th. Okay. Let's see because that was Cornette actually had, I think, early foul trouble in that game. He had 2 fouls in the first 7 minutes. Xavier Tillman played 5:52, played about 10 first half minutes. He then played
the entire fourth.
16 straight second half minutes.
There was overlap with Cornette in that, though.
Yeah, there was.
And there was overlap with that in the start of the second quarter as well.
There was. Yeah, Cornette played like basically the entire second.
So, like I told you, if those guys are out and they don't have the depth behind Tatum, they'll play Tillman at the 4.
They'll go Tatum at the 3. They didn't. Well, did even Tatum? Yeah, I guess. No, they didn't overlap at all together. All 3 of them.
Right.
Tatum, Brissett, or Tatum.
Cornette and Tillman
did not overlap like at
all. I think Tillman's the backup to Tatum in those scenarios when they do that lineup.
Yeah. And then interesting. I mean, dude, I would definitely have some interest in like in a scenario where you're playing a tournament and Cornette's 50% owned and Xavier Tillman's 20% owned, right? Like one guy is also $1,200 cheaper. So you could take a discount on this guy and that would be quite fruitful if it works.
Cornette played 11 second quarter minutes, man.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, he is definitively center 1 on this team when Horford, Porzingis are out, right? Like, but there's still the scenario where he gets in foul trouble again, right? Cornette, because he was in the early foul trouble. There's still scenario where you said
We've
was the
seen
backup.
Xavier Tillman have some big games at times.
Yeah.
You know, like, so yeah, just a pivot because I do think that I don't foresee them playing 40 minutes Cornet here. So like,
Agreed.
I think there's a good opportunity where Tillman could be a value play there. Anybody else for you?
No, I think that's it. I think the Tillman shout is a very sharp one, John.
Okay. Let's build a lineup then. Do we just start with Cornet or do you want to go Tillman here? For some value.
I'd be good with Tillman. Like, Porzingis hasn't played in 5 games.
I don't know.
Is he coming back to play against Detroit?
No, I don't.
know? And we know Horford's out because he doesn't play back to back. So,
all right. Okay, so we'll plug Tillman in for some value. Our top play, you said you liked LeBron, but we wouldn't know.
So I mean, probably Sabonis, right? Just like safe.
Yeah, that's fine.
At Sabonis, and we could maybe get Brunson, possibly. I don't know if we can afford both, but
we can probably get there. Point guard Brunson. All right, 53. We can definitely do this. Let's see.
Sam Merrill. I mean, we'll have Cleveland. See, that's the Brunson thing. If we didn't have the money, we could play. We could always play Garland instead.
I'll do Levert.
Ooh, that's good.
Let's see.
Fast PP would obviously be a play.
I mean, I think he's going to play anyways. I do. I think that's a good.
I don't think Hauser's playing. After.
And I don't think Drew Holiday plays. So,
yeah.
Fontecchio,
Simone, Keegan Murray at home.
Yeah, he gets stacked. I'm worried to stack that game too much here. Yeah, that looks good. We can run that. Yeah. Brunson, Merrill, Levert, Hendricks, Tillman, Pritchard, Fontecchio, and Sabonis. Example lineup here, obviously recording. Any news and updates we'll have live for you guys at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you check out that 5 p.m. show here. If you have any questions, get us in the Discord. Follow us on Twitter. We'll be back later. Talk to you then.